Hey, my friend, today let's study and understand about the concentrated solutions as well as the whole thing of saturated, supersaturated, and unsaturated solution. Hope you are ready for the video. So let's move on. So, first, almost understanding these things, we need to understand what is the concentration of a solution. So, the concentration mainly matters related to the solute. It is the amount of solute that we are dissolving or adding to a solute. So solvent to a fixed solvent. This is what you know as the concentration of the solvent. But there is someone else known as the diluted solution and the concentrated solution. So what is dilute solution? Actually, if I am taking a beaker, in that I am taking an HCl, which is more powerful than a dilute HCl. When I am adding water to the HCl, then it becomes dilute, right? In that way, if I am adding a little amount of solute to the fixed amount of solvent, there the solvent is great, right? The solvent is more, right? But the amount of the solute is small. Here it became a dilute solution. But moving on to the next one, it is related to the concentrated solution. So relatively to concentrated solution, that is more very hard, but a large amount of solute added to a fixed amount of solvent at a given temperature of time, it is known as the concentration of solution. Moving on to the next one, it is related to the supersaturated, unsaturated, and the saturated solution. So let's first understand the saturated solution. So what is saturated solution? Yes, here you go. The maximum amount of solute you are adding to which dissolves in the solvent in a given temperature of time is known as the saturated solution. Hope you understand. It is also a large amount of solute which is added to a solution. But the problem is that when the solute is decreased or when the solute is the quantity is less, we can say it's a dilute solution. But here it comes under the concentrated solution. But in the case of saturated solution, it dissolves in the water. If I am taking an example of with water and salt, let me just show you. If I am taking water in a beaker of 100 ml and I am adding a less amount of salt to it, then I can say it's a diluted solution and you can say it's an unsaturated solution. But if I'm adding a large amount of solute to the solvent and the solute dissolves in the solvent, then it is known as a saturation of the solution. A solute plus solvent gives solution. This can said as say as a saturated solution. But moving on to the next one, a lower not saturated solution but a less amount of quantity, a less amount of solute added to a solvent, then it dissolves but it is not saturated, then we can say that it's an unsaturated solution. So it does not saturated already, it is less than the saturative power or the saturation of the solution, then we can say that it's an unsaturated solution. So unsaturated solution is always less than the saturated one. Okay, now moving on to the supersaturated solution. Oh, supersaturated solution, something very super. So what is super in it? It is because of that these all are in a given temperature. If I'm increasing the heat, something can be happen, but in a given temperature at a fixed amount of solvent. But in this case, the supersaturated solution, if I am adding the solute into the solvent more than the saturation, oh my god, what? More than it saturates, I am adding some more solute more than its saturation. In unsaturated solution, less than the saturation. But in the case of supersaturated solution, more than the saturated. So over here, we can say this won't dissolve in the solvent. Oh, at a given temperature in a fixed amount of solvent. Oh my god. what can we do? This is known as the supersaturated solution. But no worries, this also can dissolve in the water when the heat is increased. When I am using a burner and heating the solution, those solute which are not dissolved in the water, which is at the bottom of the solution of the beaker, then they would also dissolve to the solvent, to the water. If I'm taking in the case of salt and water again, the salt would dissolve to the solvent, the solute. Turning off the burner and taking that beaker and putting it away for some time. And after then, when I'm going and look there are small crystals arised again. So this is the thing that you must need to understand about the supersaturated solution. Hope you got this video informative, and let us see in the next video. In the next video, we are able to study about the solubility, and there will be a short related to the mass percentage. It's very important calculation that you would use in +1, +2 and 9th, 10th, etc. Are you ready? Let's move on. Stick forward. Study with fun. Let's see you in the next video. Subscribe, my friends. Thank you.